Good morning, everyone. Sego Sawakwego. You're now welcome. You're for joining the Tyendinaga Mohaw Council meeting on September the 10th. And we had a camera session from 9 until now. So we are now in the public portion of our agenda. And so thank you all for logging on. I want to now ask the council to take on the someone. Linda? Karen, does anyone oppose? Seeing none, motion is carried. Seven. For our listeners online, I'll review it. A council meeting was held on Wednesday, August 27, 2025 at 9 a.m. in the council chambers. I was present. Wari, Curtis, Aaron, Linda, and Chris Miracle were present. Chris Brandt was recovering from surgery, so he was absent. Angela Miracle, the CEO, was present. Shelley Bolton, the executive administrative assistant recording secretary of the council, was present. Charles Miracle, my executive assistant, was present. Motion 1 was moved by Curtis and seconded by Linda to adopt the agenda. The motion was carried. Motion 2 was moved by Awari and seconded by Curtis that the Mohaw Council minutes of August 6, 2025 be approved, and that motion was carried. Motion 3 was moved by Linda and seconded by Aaron that the council local business minutes of August 13th be approved, and the motion was carried. Motion 4 was moved by Chris Miracle and seconded by Linda to approve the following meetings outside of the territory. Chief attending the EFN Annual General Assembly, September 3rd, 2025. Linda will be attending the LTC Board of Directors meeting on September 23rd, 24th. And Aurelia, Chief Linda and Curtis attending the 2025 IU Silver Stations Energy Symposium in Toronto. Chris Miracle will be attending the Woodland Cultural Center on September 22nd in Brantford. Linda will be attending the Woodland Cultural Center event on September 30th in Brantford. This is capital W on Woodland. Motion 5 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Linda that the council hereby approve to appoint Juan Johnston as the electoral officer for the upcoming 2025 elections for the 20, and that nominations will be held on October 18th for the upcoming elections. Okay, will that be at the school? At Mohaw School? They have that in there then, and the hours. What are the hours, Shelley? Okay, that's it. So it'll be in the further notice will go that the election will be held on December the 6th to elect the chief and 6 councillors. MCR 2025-26-050 was carried. Motion 6 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Wari to approve the letter of support for the Mohaw Firefighters Association hosting a beer tent at the Mohaw Fair September the 12th to 14th, 2025, which was carried. Motion 7 was moved by Wari and seconded by Curtis to approve the business registration renewal for Daniel G. Grant. Let's open Associates, the owners Daniel G. Grant. The motion was carried. Motion 8 was moved by Curtis and seconded by Wari to approve the business registration renewal for 49 B, owner of Summer Raven Miracle. The motion was carried. Motion 9 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Linda to approve the business registration renewal for more Bees Country Boutique, owner Brenda Brandt. The motion was carried. Councillor Curtis Brandt abstained. Brenda is his sister-in-law. Motion 10 was moved by Wari and seconded by Curtis to approve the business registration for Ellen Enterprises, owner Sharon Miracle. The motion was carried. Motion 11 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Wari to approve the business registration for the owner Harry Miracle. The motion was carried. Motion 12 was moved by Wari and seconded by Curtis to approve the business registration for Apollo 49, Faith Outlet Center, owner Jason Miracle. The motion was carried. Motion 13 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Chris Miracle to approve the business registration for Ridge Road Training and Consulting, owner Kara Brandt, Gail Brandt, Harry and Theodore Brandt. Was carried. Motion 14 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Linda to approve the business registration for Spirit Gibbs, owner Richard Jacobs. Motion 15 was moved by Chris and seconded by Curtis to approve the business registration for Wilcomb's Collision and Restoration, owner Michael Landry. Was carried. Motion 16 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Curtis to approve signing the letter for Cody Whiteman confirming his membership and agreements for expressing its purposes transfer from regular rate assets line to bearing financial assets line, regular rate assets line as joint minutes for lot 22 data dash 1 section 5 Then transfer from Kenneth Wayne Brand to Margaret Gale Brand and 2 miles Wesley Orville Avenue 3 for lot 25 6, a land transfer from Christopher Montgomery Miracle and Susan Lynn Miracle to Ian Christopher Weed of lot 21J-3 in section 8 and the Lansing survey record 14920 area in Chris Miracle Exchange as a conflict of interest. Number 6, land transfer. Motion 18 was moved by Edwari and seconded by Linda to approve the revisions to the employment training policy. Post-secondary section of the policy has been revised to be consistent with the post-secondary policy for maximum funding calculations for residents' fees. The motion was carried. Motion 19 was moved by Edwari and sent by Curtis to be it resolved that we, the Council of the Tyendinaga Territory representing the Mohaw State Training First Nations at a duly meeting of the Council held on August 27th and have reviewed the sketch provided by Hydro One Network State attached here to a Schedule A in respect of the new or modified connection at something Solores Lash Road, the number there. For the number, Shelley? To the electricity distribution system for the proposed location of the poles, anchors, conductors, and equipment identified in the sketch on the Tyendinaga Territory number 38. Council Resolution 2526-051 was carried.
And that's the exact wording that came from Hydro One.
Was it?
Yes.
Okay. Motion 20 was moved by Curtis and seconded by Linda to approve the Association of Airport Alba Indian letter of agreement, administering the Attorney General amount of $18,750 for the delivery of the Indigenous Victim Services Program. The motion was carried. Motion 21 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Linda to approve the signing of the transfer payment agreement in the amount of $169,111 for 25-26 fiscal year and $174,687 for fiscal year 2026-27 for the Gladue aftercare worker position. The motion was carried. Motion 22 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Linda to approve the signing of the memorandum of understanding with Queen's University to do research to explore the complexities of community mobilization in response to COVID-19. Motion was carried. Motion 23 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Linda to approve the signing of the transfer payment agreement from the Solicitor General in the amount of $20,000 to provide programming for Indigenous clients. Hi there. Clients in the community in support of rehabilitation and reintegration. The motion was carried. Motion 24 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Curtis to approve the signing of the Indigenous Services Canada ISC agreement number 2122-0-00027 and amendment 0107 in the amount of $65,000 for housing management subsidy and $25,000 for drinking water wastewater. Motion was carried. Motion 25 was moved by Barry and seconded by Chris Miracle to approve the pay Allen Bragg invoices 6393 in the amount of $1,590 for the Culberson land claim. Invoice number 6394 in the amount of $1,100 for the third and loss of use claim. Invoice number 6395 in the amount of, there's a problem there with that number. What should that number be? I think it's $1,850. just have clarity on that number for
Yep,
Surrender
just check.
24. Moved by 26, motion 26 was moved by Aaron Ronnie, second by Linda to approve to pay the JFK law invoice number 4072730 in the amount of $1,348 for general matters. The motion was carried. Motion 27 was moved by Curtis Miracle and second by Chikabari to approve to pay the Gilbert Thompson invoice 4134110 in the amount of $3,228.50 for the long-term care. Invoice number 4135612 in the amount of $400 for corporate matters. Invoice number 4156737 in the amount of $631.53 for the long-term care. Invoice number 4156912 6912 in the amount of $4,023.65 for the long-term care. Motion was carried. Motion 28 was moved by Avari, second by Karen. Shelley?
That amount for the surrender 24 invoice from Alan Pratt is $1,858.50.
Okay, that's what I thought. Motion 28 moved by Avari, second by Aaron to approve the signing of the Kansas Workman Housing Corporation Agreement, capital C Corporation. Section 25 loan for the phase 3-5 in the amount of $231,032.37 for a term of 5 years, and the motion was carried. Motion 29 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Linda to award the billable contractors the total amount of $227,633 for the civil site works for 7770 Energy Ready one-bedroom homes on Platt Street. The motion was carried.
Shelley.
Was that Shelley?
Can we just have to shut down for a minute? I guess the sound is not working well on YouTube, so if we could just take a quick break, I can shut down the main system.
Okay, we can do that. Okay, we left off at motion 20. We had some technical issues with our system here. Our apologies. Motion 30 was moved by Avari and seconded by Aaron, that whereas the Tyendinaga Council recognizes its duty to provide leadership and oversight on behalf of the community, whereas in the absence of adopted governance policy, there is a need to formally define the roles and responsibilities of chief and council to ensure clarity, accountability, and respect in the exercise of authority. And whereas the council acknowledges its responsibility to uphold the principles of good governance, transparency, and respect for staff, committee members, and each other, be it resolved that the chief and council of the Mohaw Committee adopt this resolution as a guiding framework for council responsibilities until such time as comprehensive governance policies are formally developed and approved. Affirm the following responsibilities of chief and council: to act in the best interest of the community as a whole with fairness and impartiality, respect the roles and professional expertise of staff, and refrain from harassment, interference, and undermining of staff duties, collectively make decisions at council meetings council meetings and speak with one voice once decisions are made. To maintain confidentiality on sensitive matters and respect the privacy rights, and to use social media responsibly and refrain from posting, sharing, or endorsing content that disrespects staff, council decisions, or brings council into disrepute. To declare council conflict of interest and recuse themselves from related decisions. This includes leaving the room during discussions and deliberations and refraining from influencing any individual staff or member of council, either directly or indirectly. To uphold, respect, conduct toward fellow councillor, staff, and committee members at all times. To support the development and adoption of comprehensive governance policy in the future. Definition of harassment. The purpose of resolution harassment is defined as any unwelcome conduct, comment, gesture, or behavior, whether verbal, physical, written, or electronic, that is known to reasonably ought to be known to cause offense, humiliation, or intimidation to an employee, council member, or committee member within the workplace or in the course of council-related duties. Harassment includes, but is not limited to, verbal abuse, threats, shouting, or insulting remarks, unwanted physical contact, blocking movement or intimidation, offensive jokes, slurs, or derogatory language, bullying, repeated criticism, or actions that undermine the professional integrity, written or digital harassment, including emails, text messages, and social media. Harassment based on protected human rights grounds such as race, genders, age, disability, religion, or sexual orientation. Sexual harassment includes unwelcome sexual advances, requests or favors, or other conduct of sexual nature that creates a hostile or offensive environment. Council commitment. Achieving council firm a zero tolerance stance toward harassment in the workplace. All members of the council have a duty to model respectful behavior and ensure a safe and healthy work environment for staff and community members. Any allegation of harassment involving council shall be addressed promptly through a fair, impartial, and transparent process, which may include the use of an external investigator, mediator, or legal advisor to ensure the independence and avoid conflict of interest. The process shall provide a safe avenue for staff and committee members to bring forward complaints without fear of retaliation. Section 3, consequences for breach. Failure by a councillor to comply with the responsibility in workplace policy set out in the resolution may result in sanctions imposed by council, but not limited to formal censure reported in the council minutes, formal removal from committee, boards, or delegation portfolios, loss of honorarium, suspension of travel or representation of privileges on behalf of the council, mandatory participation in training, mediation, or conflict resolution, public reporting of council's decision to the community, referral to the external authorities if conduct breaches the applicable laws. Section 4, implementation. Direct that this resolution be shared with staff and committee members as a demonstration of council's commitment to good governance and accountability. For the result of this resolution shall remain in effect until superseded by formal governance policies adopted by the chief of council. Motion of council resolution 2526-52 was carried. At 3:07 p.m., Allison Lynn attended to provide an update on the Woodland Cultural Center. MBQ can have another community member representative on the Woodland Cultural Center board. The Woodland Cultural Center is hosting grand reopening on September 30th and is requesting a donation. Was moved by Chris Miracle and sent by Linda Lewin to approve to appoint Heather Miracle as the MBQ to community representative on the Woodland Cultural Center board. The motion was carried. Motion 32 is moved by Laurie, sent by Chris Miracle to approve a donation of $10,000 for the grand opening of the Woodland Cultural Center. Please add those words in there. Councillor Chris Miracle inquired about an emergency management tabletop exercise being done. It was moved by Chris Miracle and seconded by Curtis Brand to approve the schedule of emergency management tabletop exercise. Motion confirmed council meetings of council confirmed the following meetings. Moved by Aaron, seconded by Linda, this meeting went to private. Carried. And these are the minutes as reported by Shelley Bowden, the executive and administrative assistant and reporting secretary of the council. I circulated a loss of circulated a legal opinion in Sarah Mainville on private. So we need to have we need to go in private for a minute so we can discuss that.
Chief, before we go in private, I'd like to introduce a motion.
I put mine on first. I'd like to discuss that. So let's have a motion to go private.
Do we want to accept these minutes before we do that?
I was gonna say, there's that good for the minutes.
I think you might have to take something out of those minutes. If you want to.
Are we taking a break?
We're right in the middle of our minutes. Could we have just one camera for up 2 minutes?
Sure. I'll
Moved by
motion.
Aaron, second by Chris. Okay, we are now in camera.
and we're live.
And live. There. Thank you very much. We just had to have a private in-camera discussion about something in the minutes. So we will need then a motion. Are there any errors, corrections, or additions or deletions to the minutes?
Minutes, chief?
Yes. So I've already, Linda's already mentioned that in motion 4, it should be Chief and Linda will be attending the LTC board meeting September 23rd and 24th in Aurelia. The things that need to be capitalized, so we're motion on motion 5, just at the Quinny Mohaw School will be added. And nothing major. But I guess maybe with motion 19, there's no address, maybe they don't have a civic address yet.
That's the numbers that came from.
And then motion 23 would just be capital I, nothing major. Motion 28, capital C, incorporation, nothing major. And the correction on motion 25, the number is $1,850.50. Period was left out.
So a couple items, chief. Motion 30, I believe, is illegal, inappropriate. I believe it's actions of some staff and a counselor to go after a particular council, and we shouldn't be doing that in public and then go in private to discuss it and go back to public. That stuff should not be happening, chief. Motion 33, the footnote before 33, there wasn't an inquiry about emergency management tabletop exercise. The question was, why did that not happen 2 years ago when council passed the motions? We have emergencies happening First Nations almost daily in this country, and here we are 2 years later without reviewing an emergency management plan. Thank you, chief.
I thought there was to be a motion scheduled to have one as well.
There was a couple years ago.
And we did have a meeting with, some lady came to the fire hall. The room was packed full of staff, and we did an exercise on emergency management.
I believe the motion was for chief and council and all
They were in-
affected
chief and
staff at
council
emergency
were
management.
invited to attend training,
Can,
and
But don't forget,
Just
the
point-
council
point-
are not part of the emergency management board.
okay, point of order.
POC.
A point of order, when answers are being given, please have the respect to listen to the answer. If you don't agree with it, wait till you hear what's being said. And then, so Shelley, can you repeat that again, please?
so a couple years ago, well, I don't know, several years ago, I can't remember when, but there was an exercise done at the fire hall on emergency management. Somebody from Ontario Management, something, came. We went through a whole exercise. Chief and council were all invited to attend.
I
Nobody
attended.
at the time did attend. So, but we did have an exercise over there.
Was this before COVID, Shelley, or during COVID? Can you
I want to say
remember?
it was after COVID,
Like 21,
21,
22?
22?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And there was also one at the senior citizen building, the 59ers Hall. Many years ago, I went to that one, and I found it a couple of fire.
Okay.
But we haven't had one.
But we don't know dates.
So I guess Chris asked a question. Why was the one scheduled 2 years ago during COVID time not held? And so was COVID the reason, Angela, or what was the reason? Or was
So
there?
Shelley just,
There has been some, but don't forget, all council's not on the emergency, the EOC. So
There
they
should-
couldn't actually be a part of the Queen Mohaw.
well, I think one should be though,
Okay,
honestly,
yeah, I agree.
and that's whoever portfolio that is. That's
Chris?
Usually we're pretty quick to pull up the old motions. Could I have a motion, please, chief, when we pass that?
Okay.
Exercise, it would coincide at the same time when we lost the hangar.
That was in February of last year. February 22nd. Or the year before. Yeah, 23. He's requesting a copy of the motion. Did you make it, Chris? He is requesting that the motion be pulled up.
At the same time, we asked for a critical incident response report from the fire whenever there is a serious fire or a serious emergency, they have a critical incident response report to say lessons learned, what we did right, what we did wrong. I think I've repeated this probably 5 or 6 times in the last couple of years at this table.
And we provided the information that was provided to us.
Can you resend it, Angela? And I guess,
Sure. Sure.
was that satisfactory, Chris, the answer you got? Pardon me?
Obviously not.
Can I have the motion that was passed a couple of years ago regarding this matter?
We will get it to you.
That'll be an undertaking then, note it in the minutes that Angela will resend that to the counselor. And send it to all of council so they can review it and know how it was responded to the question of why was the motion not acted on past 2 years ago? Was it COVID or was there people not available? I don't know the answer. It goes to administration, so I presume they follow the direction of council. Were you able to find the motion, Shelley?
We'll get it to them, Keith.
It was in February of 2022.
We will get all.
Or
we will get the
2023.
information to all of council as we requested.
So we have we're dealing with errors, omissions, or corrections to the minutes. So did you want that motion corrected then, Chris, to say your request was to schedule a meeting, an emergency management meeting, plus an explanation as to why the motion passed 2 years ago was not acted on?
Thank you, Chief.
And you requested a copy of the critical management report. You will note that Angela's already sent what she received. I presume it was from the fire chief. Is that correct, Angela?
Correct.
So the fire chief gave a response. And I guess one of the issues was that the fire hydrant froze, and that's beyond everybody's control. There was a problem with one of the fire hydrants. And that problem was repaired after. I don't think they knew about that then. So there was just some malfunction with one of the fire hydrants. And the building was designed to burn within 10 or 15 minutes. So that
Back in World War II, so it's not like it was just built. That lumber that old, you know it's gonna go up just like a matchstick.
no one was hurt. No one was there.
And that's the main thing. Everything else can be rebuilt, people can't. So,
But
as
I
long
guess
as
there
that
was,
nobody was
they
injured.
did the best they could with the equipment they had, and I guess when they went to the fire hydrant, they didn't know that it was not functioning. I know they flush the fire hydrants regularly, as required by the municipal public water system, the staff did that. And so that one acre of some kind of malfunction with that fire hydrant. That's the only issue that I could think of. I guess the other issue was the provision of water and food. There's that, but I think that would be up to the fire chief. One of the councilors, Chris Merrill, did provide, I guess, coffee and donuts, and thank you very much for doing that. That's very nice of you to do that. But again, I guess once there's a fire, the fire chief is in charge of it. That's my understanding. So anyway, let's review that, and I guess let's organize a emergency management meeting with the council. I'd like a motion to do that. Moved by Aaron, will second.
No, I'm not moving it. I'm not moving it. It's already a motion on August 27th.
August 27th? Okay. So are there any other additions, errors, omissions to the minutes? We have a motion to accept.
Are we going to have an emergency planning session before the next election?
Let's deal with the minutes first, and then we'll go with that next.
Or is the minutes?
Well, I don't know. I don't know when the people can come. There's a motion August 27th to do it. So if there's a motion, Angela, can you give council a date when that might be able to happen?
See what we can find out, yeah.
Okay, thank you. That'll be an undertaking. Is that okay with you, Chris? She'll find out and give you a date. It's all the date. I can't give you a date today. I don't know. The staff have to follow up on these things. Is your motion to accept the minutes as corrected? Aaron?
I'll second it.
Linda. Is there any, no, this is arising from the minutes is when we discuss the content of it. So we've already got a date, a motion of August 27th to hire you to have a consultant come and conduct an emergency management session for the council. But as Ann just pointed out, normally it's the directors and people that are on the emergency management response team, which would be myself and some of the directors, the fire chief, the police, the directors, but I guess council can attend those emergency management meetings if they wish to do so.
So August 22nd is already passed. Did you go?
Yeah, those minutes have been passed.
Oh,
What I would request the council and staff to do, if they could get a list of the motions and a report on which ones, what is being done on these motions, so we can have that at council, and know which ones are acted on and which ones are outstanding, so if our executive team can organize something like that, that will help.
It's not an easy task.
I know.
Sometimes you have 50 to 70 motions. So you want to report on every motion made. And if you don't want to report on every motion, then you need to give us a list on the ones you do want. That's a lot of work. And I'd also like to note that I found back in February 22, where Councilor Chris Bergel asked for a copy of the NEQ emergency plan. That's the only motion I found. And it's not even a motion, it's just a note.
So there was no motion then?
No.
Okay. So do we have a motion then to have this meeting on August 27th? Is there a motion to have an emergency?
There is a motion on August 27th to set up a tabletop exercise for emergency management.
And is that for just the staff and the people on the team, or is that for the council?
It would be for council as well.
Okay, and let's make sure the council attend these things, because there's some things that have been set up for council, the council won't attend.
let's find out when this meeting is going to happen. That's all we can do right now.
So right now, the emergency that exists in the community, many of the wells are going dry. I've been made the department fully aware of it. If there's a number that are going dry, then I think we may have to declare a state of emergency, because people have to have alternative sources of water. And I understand there's a number of people getting well fill-ups, which is contrary to the ministry, the environment, climate change rules, MECP rules, and if that's the case, then some people need to do some help with water until they can, and we have alternate sources of drinking water to that. But again, there have been wells reported because the streams are dry, all the way up to Beaver Lake. I just got some pictures from some of the people in the township. The Salmon River is very, very low and dry in place. There's no water coming over some of the dams upstream, and so it's the groundwater, the streams. Some of the creeks are very dry, and we have 99% of the wells are Moody wells. There's still 226 people in either a well or a cistern yet that don't have municipal type water, and we need to. We're still waiting for our CHIP application to be approved for $66 million to finish that project, and so I did do some follow-up with Minister Gregor Robertson, the minister that's responsible for the Canada Housing Infrastructure Fund, about that. And so we need to, I had a chat yesterday with Michael Byrne, the regional director general, about some council will have to monitor that situation closely. We will have to declare a state of emergency. But it rained enough all summer to recharge the groundwater, and so we are
But here, someone to utilize.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, in light of some information that we received back
why is he moving around?
Okay, Aaron's made a motion to amend, motion 30. to take up lots of honorary. Is there any other business arising from the minutes? Chris? Chris, what's your first motion? Angela?
Yep, for the, motion about moving the girl from Johnson, we asked him about insurance, and he said that he's never had liability insurance, that if a guy pulled without that insurance, if there's custom elections, like we don't have people like that, that they can have any accounts for members, band members, but M2 is under the Thinking Act, and that's regulations, where any appeal to election challenges are filed after the procedure of the election day, and IOC gatekeepers know which any filed appeals, so liability insurance is not present the same issues as those that are on the question election.
Okay,
So
so,
we want to make sure that we're finding that, because we're on.
okay. So the issue is the electoral officer doesn't have insurance, and I guess his council will pay with
He
that.
said he's never had it in the past, because it's the IOC, the Thinking Act election, and they handle all the appeals and everything.
Just a question of why, I don't understand why we need, anyway, just because I don't know. It's just a question of, like, you're talking about he doesn't have insurance, why would he need it? I don't know.
Well, if somebody made an allegation that, the electoral officer is
Because we're going to be able to get the city and the knowledge is great, right?
like, maybe they didn't send, the, I guess, the
We just gotta do it.
I said sometimes with the electoral information, we can't send them the package for the mailouts because we don't have current addresses. Not everybody keeps their address current on our membership card. Chris?
I believe the issue is liability. If there's errors, omissions, people make mistakes, and if they make a mistake that impacts our election, guess who's responsible? Not that person. No, because they have no insurance. So then you're responsible. So if somebody gets wrong, they say, I'm going to sue you. They can't sue them. They have no insurance. They're going to sue you for hiring. Because your policy said you can't hire nobody who doesn't have errors, omissions, insurance, provide professional services. That's the policy. But we seem to pick.
Did we have that when that issue happened, when you were,
So
when that
it-
issue with you and Stacia? Remember at the election when they had to pull the name from a hat, was there
Yeah,
an
typo.
issue, was there any issue at that time? Did they
No,
have
no,
insurance?
get back to, as an organization, we have policies. Okay? And our organization policy says, if you're gonna hire people like professional services, they have to have errors, omissions, insurance.
So Angela's asking the question.
My question is, if we ever, in any election, that's been done
Not
by
election, it's not just the election, it's the purchase of services, whether it's the election, whether it's engineering, whether it's the lawyer.
This is specifically talking about.
Okay, his question
They
is,
have to have insurance, that's why you told us to make the insurance, you can't replace. Any of the other public sector companies, you can't work for us, if you have an accident, you get hurt. You say so, that you say, I'm not gonna sue you, just go on.
okay, the
You
question,
have it for one, you have to have it for all, what's all the policy?
the question is about compliance with the policy. So the only people that can grant exceptions to the policy is the council. So Angela's asking the question, are you granting the electoral officer an exemption to the policy that relates to having insurance? It's yes, it's no. Here's what's your answer.
My answer is in a question form. Has all of the electoral officers always had insurance in the past? That's to you, Angela.
You did, so we tried to help you with that in the past. And stuff, but I'm not sure that everybody else.
I was my.
You had one before, maybe that he's never had insurance, and he was our electoral officer, who comes back, then I would say
I would think that's probably
I'd be more interested in the consistency of everybody who has been the electoral officer in the past. You know, if half of them have and half of them haven't, well, yeah.
Shelley said that they don't.
None of
They've
them.
not.
Oh, they don't. Okay, well then I'd be fine. Okay, well then if it never has been, well then I'm fine with Von Johnson not having insurance.
So I guess the reason, because the department, there's any issue of irregularity or any allegations made to the electoral officer dealing with it, they go to the complaint, goes to the minister, and then the department investigates and decides if there's irregularity in the election process.
Okay, I'm fine with no insurance.
And so really, but I guess, but because the policy says contractors have insurance, they're just pointing out that this practice is not compliant with the policy. And only the council can grant an exemption to the policy. So I guess on a hypothetical question, would Mr. Johnson be willing to get insurance?
He said it's not. It's all handled by ISC.
So appeals, I guess.
I mean, I guess the question is, I can ask you anything, there, we don't want to see it, and it's what it happens, I can say that, but.
Then he will likely charge more for this.
Okay, but have we ever had any problems in the past with people taking the man to court because of a mistake, let's say, by any electoral officers?
Yes, once.
Once in how many years?
About 25 years ago, 20 years ago. What happened was FBI was doing the printing, and the electoral officer told over the ballot, and she asked him to put it in alphabetical order. They gave the package came formed with the ballot, because it wasn't in alphabetical order, the court found that she was in error. For the departments that did the count.
Okay, so now, but we have learned from that mistake, and it hasn't been made again, and nothing else has been done in the past 25 years. So my thought is that, sure, something can happen. We don't know what's happening tomorrow. We don't know if the sun's gonna, it's gonna be a cloudy day, or if the sun's gonna be out. So, going with the statistics and electoral officers haven't had insurance, I would be fine with this being the same as the past.
Curtis, your opinion?
Say they're only in India, and then the states or whatever that's got back there to see that. That would be the one that they have to see, right? What if we are,
And the other,
they're control of our money. So why would we be doing just make it policy?
If it's not done in the ISC,
what's your opinion?
I couldn't do that, really.
I'm okay with it.
I couldn't understand it,
Oh,
All good.
They're good with no insurance. Good.
Never heard of any electoral officers across the province or even doing elections for First Nations had insurance. My understanding it was put through the budget. All that stuff was just funded through that.
As long as we're acting under the,
Of
as long as we're acting under the Indian Land Election Regulation, under the Indian Act, then disputes are decided by the ministry, not the council. Chris, what's your view?
At the end of the day, it's still a breach of our policy. If you're not gonna do it, then sure, you should rescind the policy, rescind the motion. We can't be going, okay, well, we haven't had a problem with that, so we won't have it. We didn't have a problem with that guy. No, it's a blanket statement, having insurance for the unforeseen when things happen. That's why they have insurance. professionals have insurance.
So anyway, so I guess
And
let's,
I think that's applicable, because I agree with you, that for all our other things, but this is a little bit outside the regular community operations.
It's within our scope, it's within our mandate of activities. We're gonna start nitpicking, saying, well, we're not, we might have thrown it all out the window and say we don't need insurance for nothing. And that sounds really irresponsible. What we're saying is, we're gonna start picking and choosing who needs insurance.
okay, because we have different views at council, I'm going to ask for a motion to exempt Ron Johnson, based on his survey, taken at the table, did not have, insurance. Now, all part, because the administrative there is meeting, it's, I guess, handles election. By Chris, is your second? Curtis? How are you voting here? How are you voting, Chris? Negative. Linda? In favor? Okay, the motion is carried. Have we settled that question? All right, is there
Okay,
any,
thank you.
is there any other errors or omissions to the minutes?
It's not urban emissions, it's business law.
Your business horizon for the minutes? None? Okay, so the minutes. Meetings outside of the territory. So list of meetings there. I will be attending on the September 19th, IPHCC correctional council. Curtis, is your seconder? Anybody opposed? Next item is the business registration for Turtle Island Services. And
So the chief, you take a small break because the audio still isn't really working that well.
okay, so we
The
can,
live stream.
Bryce come in to fix it.
Yes, we can. So we're just gonna take about a 5-minute break just to fix the audio for everybody.
Okay. And the audio people are still online, Good afternoon, everyone. The council meeting will now resume. We finished our lunch a bit earlier. We have a long agenda, so I'd like to get started. It's now 12 p.m. So the next item of business is item number 4. This is registration of journal pilot services, trade services, and the returns is on file. Opposed? Opposed? We have a number of bank transfers. Twenty-five. Excuse me. 25B dash 14 dash 1 concession A, RSO 6237R, lot 25L dash 1 concession A, RSO 509R, lot 25B dash 17 concession A, RO 4325R, and lot 25B dash 4 dash 1 concession A, there's a land transfer from Martha Rosalind Green to Lori Ina Green for lot 31B-9, concession A, RSO 5472R. Land transfer from Wendy Murray Frank to Kenneth Elwood Frank and Susan William Frank for lot 10-7, concession A, and land survey record 7. Transfer from Carl Dennis Merkel to land transfer from James Alexander to Chevy land transfer from James Earl Grant to John Thomas Jr. Baptist for lot 8B-2-1 land survey record 9760. Land transfer from Brian Jason Green to John Thomas Jr. Baptist for lot 8B-1 concession 2, RSO 669R, and line 683-2 land transfer from Brian Jason Six, land transfer from James Davenport
I'll move, Chief.
say you want to vote.
believe that these lands along with other community lands were advertised. Our policy said we have advertises for community members to purchase. So I cannot, go against policy, it lacks fiduciary responsibility, probably conflict of interest in some of these. And it's totally against our policies and procedures that I recommend.
My understanding is that lots, industrial park was served as other places that the council has to that policy. So Shelley, is there any motion that says that the land in the industrial park has to be advertised?
I believe it's common sense, Chief, that it's a community asset. And I believe it was never advertised to the community, and I think everybody knows that for like 10 years, industrial lots were on hold regarding the thought process around long-term leases. Then quickly sold them, and now we changed our prices many times. The community is not aware of this, Chief, and community is supposed to have first chance at this stuff, not county.
Changes that relate to the industrial park have been public. So the community.
The community knows.
Quite
It's in public
changed.
minutes. That's this process that the council followed because they want to encourage development. The council wants to be advertised as the sale. I understand all of it is for sale. Chris? Negative?
6 or 7 years.
One negative vote. Motion is carried. Land valuation. Land is seeking approval from the council for the land valuation of $1.07 per square foot or $11.50 per square meter. These figures are from the utility report. This is for approval.
Just I got a question before we go over this one. And how do we, on the second part, Erica, and prepared for my head around it. You know, 1.5 acres for $71,000, that's what the basic, the valuation. Okay? This is why young families cannot afford to buy property because, let's say, we discussed this before, where all of the businesses with all of the big money drives the value of property skyrockets so that the average young couple cannot buy land so I don't know, is that a,
I think the staff Chris are going by what they think.
Yeah, okay, well, that's for, so is this, what I'm looking at here too is two different things. One is for just road widening, and then the other half of this, land valuation is, I think it's a little bit over the top, but, I mean,
But right now, the road is under construction.
yeah, I realize that. Okay, I realize that because I have family who is giving up land because of the road, widening. But, I was just confused with the, the MBQ's road widening, allowance. Is that based on the second half of that property managed by Powell? Like, I don't understand, I don't understand. I don't understand why this Powell, why this, why this airport draft residential land. I'm just confused, that's all. Yeah, but then does that coincide with, let's say, if a road, if a one person owns that much property that a road, widening project and is taking up 1.5 acres, and they're gonna get $71,000 for that, I mean, that's my concern is, we're driving for us doing this, we're driving the price of land. So like I said, if this is our base moving forward per acre, so 1.5 acres is $71,000, so what does that work out per acre?
Okay, so
That would work out.
the
to
value of land is not the same per acre. It depends on, is there hydro there, is there
It
water
doesn't
there,
matter.
is sewer there, it's worth more.
No matter what. We promised the community that everybody will get water. So we should not be taking that into account because everybody's gonna have hydro.
Okay, so if we don't want to pay $1.07, what do you want to pay?
No, I'm just concerned with why is this residential land appraisal report? Does that coincide with how much we're going to pay per
Is Peter or Amy here or not?
Amy has gone for lunch.
Chris, do you know anything about this?
So we have
Peter
to,
here or not? Peter Brandt here?
Okay, Chris, sorry.
we have to look at this through a separate lens and not. Phrased at 75. But if it's the one we're talking about, that should be in camera talking about, it makes it go away. You gotta look at all the factors. You can't go take someone's land. You just can't.
You can't expropriate land.
Well, you take it though, and you pay your professionals all good money to make it work, and it doesn't work, well, guess what?
Okay, so it's two different things, let's
Two
say.
different things.
So right now, for the road widening purposes, we will pay them this amount, but if we were to take in the future, let's say, 50 acres and put it up for sale to young families wanting to start themselves off as families, we would not charge them the same amount as we are doing for the road lots.
Different kettle of fish altogether.
Okay, that's all, that was my question.
That would be a decision of council to make.
Yeah, that would be my question, and I don't want that to happen. I do not want to use this as a basis for if we put up land in the future for young families, I do not want them to pay the cigarette prices or the gas station prices. I want them to be able to afford land. And that was just my concern. So this isn't a footprint for land in the future.
They did the Reed Road, that's exactly what they paid. They paid $1.05. So the reason why they didn't come up with $1.07 because how long ago was the Reed Road? 10? 12 years ago?
50,
I don't-
maybe almost 20 years ago.
Or whatever, but that's what it was back
I'm
then. I
fine.
did find that.
I'm fine. It was just an understanding, that's all.
So anyway, we can set that aside till our staff are back and see that. Set that aside.
No, I don't have any problem. It's just understanding that we do not want to put two different situations in the same footprint. This is a separate footprint from just straight out selling an acre of land to a young family. I do not want to use
This
this.
only applies to road extension.
Okay, that's fine. I'm fine with this. I motion that we stay with what's recommended.
So Aaron's already moved to accept
Okay.
it, so Chris Pratt will second. Curtis, you're in favor? Linda, you're in favor? Chris, you're in favor? $1.07.
$1.07.
Well, that works out, it depends on how much land you're buying, so.
No, that was just a base, that was just an appraisal estimate on land that was done. I understand this now. And you actually helped me understand that there are two different footprints here. I just didn't want to use the road widening footprint as a future per acre footprint. So, yeah, you know. Thanks. No, it says, in it, it says, that it is,
So the members can understand what we're talking about. So in the current case in Maloney, letter of November the 7th, was addressed 2024, was addressed to Lisa Miracle, Amy Smart, and Lisa Miracle. Real estate appraisal, airport road, territory, legal description. There. You requested an appraisal be completed on the property. Further to request a new inspection on the subject property for the purpose of estimating its market value as of market value in the scope section of this appraisal. The estimated market value is $71,000 compensation for the approach. The estimated value is subject to the authorized use of assumptions and living conditions and scope improvement report for which the leaders they estimated. So the staff engaged in appraisal. And that's what we said. just for that one lot for any no other purpose, not to set the valuation of any land, other purchase prices or any land, other land.
Is this pertaining to the community members from the council tonight?
No. Got nothing to do with that.
Okay, so what's the score then?
This is what you're going to pay for the road widening at Richards Lane, Homestead Drive, the road extension that goes from Ridge Road down to Hickory Lane and Marks Road. So right now, those are road parts that are under construction. We need to widen those roads. It's under construction, and we have to finalize these land purchases from these people because we're building a road on their property. We need to clean this up because you're constructing a road on somebody else's land.
Yes, so if you're buying 2 meters on this side, you're going to be buying a meter and a half on that side.
As I said before, there has been verbal consent, but the paperwork needs to get out. Checks need to be cut to pay these people for this property.
If this pertains to all of those, or I don't get into the street, but I'm not saying no.
What's the nature of the conflict with this?
If it's taking the new roads, I have some land adjacent.
Well, anyway, there's already a motion being made. Being voted.
The question for me is why haven't we got second ones? And we're now the motion's been made that it's okay because maybe and that's
Are they buying land from you?
Yes,
road widening. It would be a
I don't believe it is, but we have to check when Peter gets back. There's a number of people we have to buy land from. I leave that up to staff to do that. I don't get involved in that level of detail. My job, was to lobby the department for money to get them open up these open road launches, which I did. And the answer was $10 million, which we are receiving, and that has to be spent by March 31st, 2026, or it gets clawed back. So we need to get on with it.
Put that, thank you.
Okay, so you voted one conflict of interest, Chris Mayor. Anybody else? Everybody's agreeable? Yeah, the motion is carried. The Allen Pratt invoice is number 6397, $130. For the Culbertson track, invoice 6398, $1,130 for lost to use claim, $64,160 Motion to pay these invoices.
motion that you.
Is anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. Derek Wong invoices. Invoice number 881 for $3,500 for corporate matters, 882, $28,524 for economic development, 883, $3,150, 82 cents for corporate matters, invoice number 84, $8,044 for corporate matters, invoice number 85, $3,350, 50 cents for corporate matters. Motion to approve. Chris, Grant, and Karen. And for the record, Obari did send in an email this morning saying he couldn't come this morning. He tried to set it. LRPC Tiny Houses Foundation Award. 3 votes have been received to construct the foundations for 2 additional tiny houses from LRPC at the Shanville site, former Davis property. Anderson property maintenance, $44,130. Total source construction, $56,000. Build all contractor, $64,400. To award the Anderson property maintenance for a total of $44,130, which is the low bid. Is there a motion to approve?
already had these things in here before. It's too much money for foundations, in my opinion. It's overpriced. When were these houses received, Chief?
Tom, when Susan, I understand, went look to pick which ones they wanted. And I understand there's two that have to be delivered to the foundation, but at one time they said that the Shannonville site wasn't suitable. So exactly where are they building? Where is the foundation going to be erected in Shannonville? Does anyone know? Or has housing changed their mind?
I thought it was,
Well, what Tom said. Unless Thomas changed his mind, he said that there were problems with the foundation on that site because there has to be a crawl space under them. And I guess it wasn't, the soil conditions were not suitable for that. Can Tom give us clarity on that?
The Shenango location, the former David's property, was designed to accommodate 2 more tiny houses for a total of 8 tiny houses.
Because I did question why they weren't going ahead with it, and I was told that they would have to select another site because the foundations weren't suitable for that site. I guess it must put it on the agenda, so it must be. Moved by Aaron and sent by Curtis to go ahead with it. Award the contract to Anderson Property Maintenance for $44,830. Moved by Aaron, sent by Curtis, and we have one negative vote for Smith. Motion carried. Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, Section 95, application 2025. MBQ was conditionally allocated $1,215,472 lifetime subsidy dollars from CMHC Section 95 program. Applicant's second stage is due on October the 10th, 2025. The recommendation is to approve the application to CMHC Section 95 program for construction of 5 tiny houses to be constructed on Flat Street. Approved, and they're asking the council to approve the proposed budget of $1,017,000, which includes a $68,738 contribution from the 2008. This council approved. Support the motion. Aaron? Is there a second to that motion? Seconder. Is anyone opposed? Is anyone opposed? Hearing none, seeing none, the motion is carried. So there's a $1.2 million subsidy. Request to waive. Request to waive the community center fees number 12 on your agenda. Sean Claus has sent a letter. It says, my name is Sean Claus. I'm writing to you to let the host of the table speak with you about an event I am hoping to put on the community. I would like to host a dance for the owners of Tigers and Center. I cover the cost of their our operators are local I will motion that, chief, and also that if it does not get approved, I will pay for this out of my own pocket.
My only question about it is if there's any other personal financial gain, if there's scientific, if there's no like, or anything like that,
They,
personally.
they haven't stated any of that in the letter, but, Shelley?
I had a conversation with him. He originally was going to have alcohol, but when he's not going to have any alcohol. And my understanding is not sell tickets and you get to come. It's just a dance.
It's an open dance?
No.
It's just a
Not
straight open
just an
dance?
open dance. Yes. And I'll second.
Moved by Ms. Frank, second by Karen. Anybody opposed?
Oh, however, other than horizontal states, yeah, the check, you have to double, you have to double check. Okay. So they may not be either of them, if you can find a different fee.
Yeah, I believe there's somebody else.
So there's no charge? There's no
There
admission?
should be no charge.
Doing these events for our elders, should we have a set price? For instance, I did the same thing for the elders also.
So why don't we have a policy?
So, that's why I asked them to look at the policy to see if we can have a discussion to do.
That's what
The policy,
They are looking at the policy. And the policy was about one time.
50% reduction.
But there was a motion a while ago, where to review that policy, so they are.
And I think if we use, donate to the community center with the dare,
It is still needed. And it's actually getting longer and longer. So, usually about a week, but now I think it's a week and 2 days into the following weekend.
so there's a policy.
Well, not a policy donation, we're always, well, there's a policy donation, but the fair is always had that week.
We wanted to look at it anyway, but that's not.
There's other organizations out there who are doing the same thing. And they're nonprofits, so they use some of their money, but they give to.
Okay. Item number, that motion is carried. Moved in second, is anybody opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. So anyway, the next item is about Jordan's principal of the educational assistants. Some of these positions have been paid by Jordan's principal funding. School year has begun, and MDQ, Jordan's principal navigators, and other service providers had no communication by SE on approval or denial. We would like to post the attached notice for covering the cost for the fees as a one-time without communication by SE. The TMC approved the posting of the notice to social media. The proposed wording for the notion is supporting gun baby and the Mohaw children with special needs for 2025-26 school year. The Tyendinaga Mohaw Council convened and Mohaw is taking a proactive step to support 67 Mohaw children with exceptionalities for the upcoming 25-26 school year. Due to ongoing delays in the federal funding approvals, the Jordan's principal policy meant for the church and First Nation children receive timely and equitable service. Many families have been uncertain about whether their children will have access to the supports they need to attend school this fall. These supports include educational assistance and therapeutic services that are essential for children with complex learning and developmental emotional needs. To prevent disruption and to ensure that no child is left behind, the council will support this funds through a one-time emergency measure. These the funding will allow 67 children who have whose Jordan's principal applications are only submitted incomplete to attend school with the appropriate assistance in place. This is not a decision made by me. Indigenous Services Canada is not yet approved or committed to reimbursing these costs. We are prizing our children's right for education and support. The well-being of our young people is something yeah, the well-being of our children is something that, not something that, we are hopeful that the ISC will honor its responsibilities under the ordinance principle and work with us to resolve different funding challenges. In the meantime, we remain committed to advocating for our children and ensuring that families are not left to carry on this burden alone. While funding will cover 25, 26 school year older and focus on children most immediately at risk of the school year and support that we recognize that our children that ensure that all of our children have equitable access to the services they deserve. George Principal is created to prevent exactly this kind of situation where children are caught in jurisdictional disputes. We are committed to upholding the spirit and ensuring that our children receive fair support and education they have a right to. Today we can ensure that every child in the community has the opportunity to succeed. So, do I have a motion to close this service?
All of our children, no matter what school.
Well, this is their education.
Exactly. But it's not just this school or band operating school. These people right here, that's right, it's for all. So when I had the conversation with the third principal last week, there was supposed to be 7 applications that they had. I said, how come they're not? What happened? I said, schools are in. You're behind, and you got extra people. You got hired extra people to do this. What happened? I don't know.
Well, this Jordan's principal has been on our locking session.
Don't.
It's actually the subject of any of them.
But anyways,
As we say, that hasn't come yet, there was a letter that was being drafted to go to the minister about this. I don't know, did you see anything yet, Tony? There was that? Yeah.
Yeah, the letter's been sent.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
this is not a problem for just here, it's all across the country.
It is.
And so right now,
Yes.
back in February, the minister changed the, I guess, the policy that was going to be covered under Jordan's principle, that left everybody up in the air. So I think it's really a cost-cutting. But anyhow, it's a subject, for discussion at the FME last week.
well, I think that if, and whether it is, what it states here, 67, or like Curtis said, that is 70, I think, I'll second that motion because, it's going out for all the kids that need it. And we're here to take care of our kids, our people.
Because there's some offers that really don't need that in.
If
Well, I imagine they have the.
there are people, so we'll take care of them.
And so one of the issues that we had last year, because the street is reserved, Susan brought this up, Jennifer, how many Jordan's principal applications are originating from off-reserve needs or service providers? Because I was getting calls from members saying that, their children's off-reserve department wasn't paying the invoices. They wanted to ask for my intervention, which I think called Travis Anderson. Again, whether or not the department's going to continue providing for off-reserve is a question because the minister thinks that the same issue that was at who should pay the bill. On-reserve, it's very clear that exactly.
I had a conversation at nice last week.
And they look at the promise. everybody's left in this situation, so really the Minister of Indigenous Services Canada, they've asked her to rescind the policy that was passed in February this year, limiting George Bennett. They've asked that their chief's protocol for that to be rescinded, and that they begin addressing these backlog of applications or backlog of necessary. Now, Michael Laverne told us that they didn't have enough staff to process the high volume of applications that they had.
It is hard.
So they need, and they have their paying staff, and so what? And some of these applications have been backed up for more than a year. 3 years. 3 years.
I haven't ever asked it. It's been 3 years.
I said, you know, the members are entitled to get an answer. Either it's approved or not approved. If it's not approved, why? That's right. And right now, there's just no communication.
So Chief, do you agree if this was the case, do you think the education of your kids should be an urgent response?
Of course.
But so do I. But on some of these applications that were sent in from some of our kids, they were not marked urgent. He couldn't tell me. He couldn't tell me how many. I didn't care. I just wanted to know why weren't they, if it had to do with their education. That's sad.
So right now, what we know the numbers for the federal school and the federal operating school, but the officer, there's a number of situations of it doesn't, they don't file the applications with any of our staff or okay, so that's been moved and accepted. Is anybody opposed? Anybody opposed? So the next item is the upcoming meetings. Our September 10th is the regular council, September 25th is the
Reviewing upcoming meetings.
second is the regular council.
It's just not in the folder.
15th is the regular council. 22nd is the business. So when you speak, while I'm speaking, they can't hear you.
We're just trying to figure out where you're getting that.
We don't
Not
have
on
this,
our
Chief.
agenda.
It's not in here, Chief. Just you.
Oh. I
No,
thought
they
you
were
saying
looking,
fine.
they're looking in their folders, and there isn't a specific folder that lists upcoming meetings. That's what they're looking is their folders.
Okay.
You're
I see.
looking at the agenda.
I'm going by the agenda.
Yep. They're
So
just
that's
looking
just,
at the
these
folders.
are
where-
already, these are already approved, have they, Shelley? So it's just a reminder.
Yeah, it's on every agenda.
So now the next item,
already
you have item, you guys are on a connection.
That's the folder they have next. It's not the agenda, Chief, it's the folders of information that they're looking at.
So now the next item is the Desron connection agreement for North Street. And the issue is MBQ North Street subdivision, 2425, to receive funding from ICIP to complete the water and sewer maintenance to service North Street in the town. Would not allow them to connect the subdivision station. That again, North Street is upgraded. The town applied to the Housing Enabling Fund and were successful in funding. The design and tender for the work is completed and should be completed by 2026, and currently from the town is seeking MDU's acceptance through the proposed servicing agreement to connect the subdivision allows for the following: 48 units for the subdivision, 200 towards the town's share of the cost of the water station. So the agreement reads, and it's mainly stated, Father, between the Corporation of Fish, Town of Desron, and Committee, MBQ is a proponent of a residential subdivision development in this north and north branch of the subdivision. Pressure authorization connection of this subdivision. actually
also just sent a letter to the minister about this too.
And after that, after you had sent that letter, there was that accident. So, which involved both vehicles, all of the airbags and bags was there across both cars.
Never affected on the start.
We talked about it here in council for a while now, but we need to have the minister do something about it and stop dragging their butts.
That's why I said it even with leader
Absolutely. And the sooner the better. I did. Chris.
Thank you much, everyone.